Hello, my name is Jennifer and welcome to my speed build of a 5x5 house. I thought I would try it for once. I did end up making it for one sim. What I wanted to have in the house was a bed, a toilet, bath or shower, sink or stove or fridge, but I actually ended up with both a stove and a fridge, but it is actually pretty small. So of course I started out with the grid to start with, and I blocked off a little tiny space for a bathroom back there and lots of porch space so that there is some space outside for things, but of course everything is in the house that you need to have, the things that I listed, and a couple of other things too. And I like to create or use some sims to build the house for, or in this case a sim and her dog, because I find it makes it easier for me to visualize what I need in the house when I can think of who is living in the house. So the sim that I made this for was originally a runaway teen and her dog, big dog at that, in a tiny house. She is now a young adult and has saved up enough money to have a nice little home. This house is worth about $39,000 was what the value was in the end. And I don't show it here, but I do end up putting some completed feather collection because the dog keeps running into the bush that I end up putting out a little bit later because I play tested the house, so this house has been fully play tested. So a few things have been moved from where you see them as I did the build, but not significantly. The main thing I can think of is that garbage can gets moved and it ends up going beside the bathroom sink because she couldn't use it underneath the bookcase where I placed it. So I use wood floors, which is one of my favorite floorings to use. Just in general, wood floors. I like that one too. And that wall covering is from Jungle Adventures. The flooring I think was from Spa Day. Now I do add this little area out here, and this is just to represent a chimney for the fireplace that I put inside. It is not actually used for, anything for the build itself. It's just to give some visual interest. And I add regular siding and some rock around the fireplace area. I do end up changing that to a darker color later on. I've changed quite a few things later on. And now the roof I struggled with quite a lot. Roofs aren't my strong point. I always used auto roofs in previous versions of Sims. I am getting used to it since you have to do it. It would be lovely if they brought the auto roof tool back. But honestly, I'm probably getting enough used to it that I would only use it some of the time because it's kind of fun playing around with the roof. So what I did here, the reason it's in the different pieces is because I'm trying to make a skylight. So the roof, I sort of get it kind of finished here, but then I realized in the end I didn't quite like how the edges are, because you can see they don't quite line up and I don't like that. So I changed it a little later in the build, but I do make a few more changes here now. Definitely took me a lot of time on the roof because I already do this into a couple pieces because I want a little bit of an eave hanging off on the one side where the fireplace was, but I didn't want it going through the fireplace per se. So that's why I did it like that. And I add some, roof trim to there as well as to provide a little difference. And you maybe notice that I don't actually use the same wall covering on the roof area that's open. I have a sort of a similar color blue, but not the siding. I sometimes like to do that so it's not exactly the same. And so the fireplace is, I like that because it's I do have seasons in my game, and so having a fireplace can help with heat in the wintertime instead of using the thermostat, and that will help keep your bills down. Of course, in the summer it can't help. There's nothing that can help very much. And I added various shelving units into the house because there's not a lot of counter space, so to put a little bit of clutter and decor, I added some shelves, put that up on the wall as opposed to just putting pictures. And of course I added some little lighting there. There's no room for a little night side table in this house. That I end up taking out because the kitchen, the board, the note board from Parenthood I take out because she can't use it, so I figure there's not really much point having it in there. Plus, when it's only one sim and her dog, it's not like she's going to be leaving notes for anybody else in the house. Of course, I need to add that toilet paper, not that they use it, and a little decor into the bathroom. It's already small and cluttered, but let's add some more clutter. And I just played a little bit here I ended up adding a few kitchen items, if I remember correctly, because I figure it's sort of open to the kitchen, and if you really had a small tiny place like this, you'd be using as much space as you could for your things. So there's like the laundry detergent container, which isn't kitchen, but you know, still comes there, and a bottle of peppers or whatever that is. So one other thing I really like is to have 2 doors in most of my homes at a minimum. So even though this house is really small, and I mean 2 doors going outside, of course, I have 2 doors, and that's because sometimes I find Sims, you know, things get in front of the door and they can't go outside and they get trapped in the house. So having a second door is always helpful, which is why I was very happy to be able to manage to get a second door into this house, which is like essentially right through the kitchen. Essentially, you walk right through to the other door on the other side. I couldn't really find anywhere else to put it. And I do actually end up putting a couple of small windows in the kitchen off camera. You can't really see them, but it just thought it broke up that blank wall when you look afterwards. So in the house that is up on the gallery, there's a few changes that you don't see in the speed build. It just, as I play tested it, I made a few more changes to the house. But generally what you see here is kind of what you're going to get. And you can see I've already changed the rock on the fireplace. I think that is going to be the final rock. And those wind chimes, I do move them so they're, instead of being to the left and on the fireplace, they're over to the right of the door and of the easel. And I did rearrange the house. Originally the door was facing to the side of the lot, and I moved it so that instead it's to the front of the lot. So I essentially rotated it, which is really fun. It's one thing I really like about Sims 4 is the fact that you can pick up a house and move it where you want, or pick up rooms. It just makes it so much easier when you're building, if you don't quite get it right in the first place, to kind of move it where you want in the end. I didn't really like how there was this big empty space on that roof, so while I started with the little boat, I end up with the fish. And you can see I changed the color of the door. I have vampires in my game, so I like to add pots near the entrance so that I can plant some garlic. So this house does end up, you don't see it here in the build, but when I was playtesting, I ended up putting garlic in those pots. So if you have Valentine's vampires, you will have a little bit of protection with some garlic on your lot. Of course, if you don't have vampires, they'll come empty. I don't think they'll be replaced with anything else. I'm not really sure. Some of the things she has that I'm placing are things she had in our previous home. So that's kind of why she has a few things, and I'm not taking them from buy mode. I'm actually taking them from her, you know, inventory. But I am buying some things because she doesn't have everything. She had some basic things. So a lot of the stuff I did actually buy. But Patchy, she already had and had befriended. And that was her garden that she already had. And I can't see, I think she must get the money tree after the fact that she doesn't have it here, because I'm not seeing anything in the garden planter that I know where the money tree is. But by the time I finish playtesting it, the money tree is actually mature and producing money fruit. But it has not been evolved at all. It's just a basic money tree at normal quality. And I gave her a little pool in the backyard, so like the house, while it's small, like I said, it's like almost $39,000 for the house, so it's not cheap given the size, but you know, it could be much more expensive than it is. And I add the swings, which I wish my sim gets sick when she used the swing, because I wanted to make sure it worked. And she got nauseous, of course. Luckily, it doesn't last that long, but I kind of wish they didn't. And perhaps if I persevered with it, they would get used to it and they wouldn't be sick anymore. Let me know if that's been your experience, or I don't know if it's just random. Some Sims get sick and others don't, and I'm just unlucky, and it's most of my Sims get sick when they use the swings, it seems. I do add laundry. The laundry is a clothesline, and the laundry hamper, which her first experience with the laundry hamper wasn't very successful. Every time she washed it, the clothes came out dirty, but then I ended up having her do a second load, and they came out clean, luckily. The laundry hamper does work where it is, so that is one nice thing. So, as you can see, there's a lot of things outside, but the basics, the things for cooking, the bathroom, even a little living room area with a love seat and a TV and a game console, all in the house, as well as a food bowl for the dog. I may do it off camera, but there is like a place for putting pet toys, but I put that outside, and I've used the outdoor version of it, to be honest, but it works, it's fine. So I'm adding a little bit of landscaping. There's not a lot of room for landscaping on the property because, you know, it's small, And I have a actual garden and that pool out the back and the swing set. But I thought, I'd put a little bit at the front to make it look a little nicer. And just a bit, not too much, because there's not room for a lot. But here's where I fixed the roof a little bit more, where I decided I really don't like the way they line up, and I wanted some eaves coming off to sort of protect the entranceway a little bit, because that does help protect them from weather when you have that sticking out a little bit. So I just make so it ends up with the sunroof being a little bit smaller, but I think it looks a bit better the way it does, so it works, it's fine. And I do end up adding an actual chimney there, but I changed the color from what I used there. And here we're going to end with some screenshots, and there's her dog, quite the big dog, keeps going into that bush out the back, so if you have a dog in this house or a cat, you may want to get rid of that, but I've left it there for now. And here she is watching TV and watching it again, the Food Network, to help her build her cooking skill further. And there's the the kitchen with the bed. And I have seen when she can't see it. I think the TV is on and she's watching it from that spot. But so we'll just end with a few more shots of the house, some more inside, a few from the outside. This doesn't include a shot, but like I said, I do have a completed feather collection. It's actually on the outside of the house by the bush, or somewhere over there on that side of the house. But that is going to be it for this speed build. I do have the house up on the gallery. It is worth about 39,000 simoleons. It's under my Origin ID MapleSimmer. And next time maybe I'll try and do a starter house, but that's it for now. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye! This has been Jennifer. If you have any comments or suggestions, please leave them below. I'd love to see them. If you liked the video, please leave a like. And if you'd like to see more videos of challenge, let's plays, tutorials, and occasional speed builds, please subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thanks very much!